Welcome to another 10-minute review. Today we have a Minecraft shot that looks really good, has a lot of potential from a brand new or from a relatively new animator that has a lot of potential. So let's get to it. So, for those that don't know me, my name is Harvey Newman. I like to share my passion for animation here in this channel. In this case, we are actually doing this 10-minute review, which is a segment of the channel. Well, every 2 weeks or so, I actually do an animation review from an animator that perhaps is struggling with certain things in order to maybe highlight some of the problems so others can watch it. And maybe if you're struggling with the same thing, can help you out a little bit, right? Now, before I get started, if you enjoy this video, if this is useful to you in any ways, then consider subscribing, considering hitting the like button because it helps a lot young animators, especially if they are like you, to actually find this content a little bit easier, right? So yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. I'm gonna add 10 minutes on the clock because I keep forgetting, and then I get really excited about this and I go over the time that I need to. So let me just set a timer, 10 minutes and starting. All right, so let's have a look. So the name of this animator, or at least the nickname here in my Discord server, that's what I'm looking at right now, is the Blue Miner. And if you guys want to have your shots reviewed just like the Blue Miner here, then consider joining my Discord server and then submitting your shots to the animation feedback channel, where we actually go through, not only myself but other experienced animators go through it and then look at your shot, give you some tips, some tricks, all of that goodness, right? Cool. All right, let's press play and let's see. Now, I have to say, I find this quite entertaining. I think the fact that they are Minecraft characters, I think the fact that the character looks so evil or so mean and really means what they are doing right now, really believes in themselves, is so cool. It has a lot of character. So I know that Blue Miner, you mentioned that you're relatively new to the workflow of blocking, but this actually looks really good and has a lot of character already. So kudos to you for actually doing this. I'm going to look at this from the perspective of somebody that is new to the industry, but I have to say this, for somebody that actually is just getting started, is very impressive. It's really, really cool. The characters are simple in their nature, but you can do a lot with very little. And this is definitely like something that I would like to highlight here for everybody in animation, because sometimes you get lost with all the rigs that have lots of bells and whistles, and you start to find out that actually you can do pretty much anything you want with something as simple as like a flour sack. A flour sack used to be like an exercise that animators used to do like way back in the day, early days of 2D animation, 3D animation, in order to kind of like showcase character with the most minimal amount of not only like model but also, you know, controllers in 3D. So awesome example here with this character, given the fact that he's so little, or so minimal I should say. So really, really cool. Now, first things first, like, you know, we already have some notes here from other people in the server that have looked at this and given feedback. I also was wondering, what is this? I kind of really want it to be something special for the shot. I just don't know what that is. Hopefully it was not a mistake. I like how you start this by actually just having the character like looking and just being like, what? No, you didn't. I can almost hear it, which is really cool. And the fact that the character goes from low to up, like I am cool now, and then hits the sword down, is also nice. I like what you're doing with the camera now to actually kind of like get that camera to zoom out. Very anime, love it, really nice, sets up the character really nice. And the fact that the character is kind of like running like in a zigzag motion really milks that like anticipation towards the hit. So those are all great things. I'm also liking what you're doing with your like blur, you know, like when he actually kind of like throws this thing towards the other character. And the other character, this character here, a lot of animators also early on, especially when they're just getting started, they do quite a lot with this, with both characters. And both characters, if you have two characters, both of them cannot be great or cannot be epic at the same time. You have to have one character that calls more attention than the other. And it's almost like talking, right? You need to actually basically allow one character to talk first before you allow the other character to talk after. So I like how you understand that, and you have this character doing very little, just a little bit of movement on this arm just to show that they're alive, and then basically they only move when they dodge the attack. Now I have to say that you have like a few things that I like for it to be more polished, because your characters are so simple. You need to pay extra attention to make sure that everything is not only more visible, but also readable, and also the little mistakes that you can perhaps make with a character that has lots of bells and whistles, you cannot make with a character that is very minimal. You need to make sure that everything is 100% clean, polished, and amazing. So first off, your posing, right? I like how your posing is sweet, it looks really nice. However, you have two legs here. I can see here, just barely can see that one leg is actually checking here, but bend it, right? And you, I think, are hinting at the fact that he is basically chilling on the wall. Now, if this is a wall here, I didn't quite understood until I kind of saw it a few times when he actually took off from that. I was like, where is the other foot? And then he took off. And the reason why is because this is gray here, and this is also gray here. So for me, this was just basically a far away background, and it was not in the forefront. And then the other thing as well is that you're putting the leg where the sword is, which also doesn't make a lot of sense to me, unless he's actually resting the foot on the sword, but that still is kind of weird and awkward. So I would say that because you only have like a resting pose here, and then he just grabs the sword and puts it on his shoulder, maybe have a better silhouette, a better pose, by making sure that this wall here, right, is incredibly readable. So you can see, add some texture, give some depth. Maybe like if the wall is made of bricks, the bricks are kind of like heading this way outside, and you can see the shapes of the bricks. So there is some kind of texture indicating that this is a wall and the character is resting here. So that's the number one. Number two is actually making sure that this foot, this leg, is much more readable. So you can see more of this foot resting against the wall right here, right? So you see much more of this foot resting. So that gives you a better sense. So even if you don't see much of the leg here because the leg is so short, but having that foot showcased more on the back will allow you to have more of that nice silhouette. And the other thing, and most important, is this sword. The sword is massive. So I think that there's no way for you to chill with this sword except for if you actually were to hold it maybe, straight here, like chilling. Like maybe having his arm here, the sword is over here, the sword is absolutely massive, he's almost bigger than him, and then you have the sword just kind of like here chilling, right? And maybe he's like holding the sword either, here straight, or maybe chilling with his arm up on the sword, something along those lines. But what happens is that when you have something that's similar to this, not only can you see the silhouette better, but you also have negative space, which is these parts here, that allows you to read much more what your posing is doing. So that happens here. When he drags that sword and moves, I think that there's actually like a bit of like sliding. You see your feet are about to slide here. See that? As he's moving forward. And especially here, there's a lot of sliding here. Make sure those things don't happen at all. Like if he has to do 3 steps instead of 2, then make sure that happens, and make sure that the character feels planted, right? As they are walking, like that weight is planted. And when he actually grabs the sword and drags it, maybe he's actually like grabbing the sword like this and just drags it slowly. That drag needs to be 100% solid. So this bit needs to kind of like drag on the floor and just really, you can really feel that. And then eventually you go, this is good. This is good. This is no problem at all. If anything, maybe try to open his legs ever so slightly more, give more like some kind of like negative space right here, and maybe drag his arm a little bit backward if you can, to give a little bit more negative space here. But I think that's solid. And then when you go from here to here, Like, see how the sword is actually kind of clipping through the floor here? Like, this floor needs to be rigid, needs to feel rigid. So you need to make sure that that sword doesn't go past the floor. So it just hits the floor, clunk, stays there. You can even add a little bounce. Make sure that you feel that weight, right? So this is cool. So yeah, really awesome. I think most of your problems are basically when the character is slow moving, because the slower you move the character, the more people can pay attention to your moves. When you're moving the character very quickly, you can get away with a bunch of stuff. This is why when you watch Dragon Ball Z or any kind of like Naruto and there's a lot of stuff happening on the screen, I mean, that's blurs, punch, right? And you can still get away with that. So make sure that the slow moving shots are really readable and really polished. But I think you've done an amazing job for your first blocking, and if it's new to you, I think that the choice of characters are really cool. It's very original, and I think having a shot like this, because it's Minecraft, I think is going to stand out a little bit more from the regular shots that you can see out there. Now, once again, if you actually like this video, if it feels enjoyable to you, definitely give it a subscribe, give it a thumbs up. And if you want your shots to be reviewed just like this, once again, go head over to my Discord, sign up. It's a great chat, great group of people. We have lots of fun. So join us and make sure that you submit your work so we can actually hopefully have it here featured in the channel in a future video. So shout out to my Patreons as usual for all the monthly support. And until the next video, see you guys. Stay well, stay safe. Peace.